It's a beautiful day, isn't it? And from this divide, we always have fun having you join us to learn one or two things. Today is another big learning curve for me, as we'll be delving into topic I'm almost very, I'm just zero knowledgeable around it, and we have experts that will help us, go through it and understand what it is. But then, looking at the internet, I'm kind of very, very alarmed. I actually thought it was not this deep, and I'm finding out that it's really, really very deep. And it says one person dies every 33 seconds from cardiovascular disease. In 2022, 702,880 persons died from heart disease. That's equivalent of one in every death. That's alarming. That's scary. And I don't know how this happens. Is it that they have headache? Is it that I don't know. I really don't know. But at the end of the day, we intend to find out. But going through this topic, I was able to ask certain questions. Someone is also sent in a question, which the doctor will be handling. But before I get to introduce the doctor, let me do myself the honors of introducing myself. My name is Elizabeth Awai, and ta-da!
Good morning. My name is Joy Okpanachi, and it's good to be here.
Okay.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Devan Hamati, your mom. I am a media and development sector consultant.
Okay, doctor?
Onye Achileho, I'm a cardiovascular specialist.
Okay, so now you heard it. You're going to be having a lot of zim in the medical jargon, if you ask me. And bring out your book, bring out your pen, and get to write. The very first thing I like to find out from Nigerians when we meet them is how well they love themselves. And I believe in loving yourself. It means that you also take care of your health. How do you give your health TLC? Ehi, do you even do your own? But let's see what you found out.
According to the WHO's definition of health, health is a complete state of physical, mental, and social well-being, and not just merely the absence of diseases or infirmities. Today, I'll be heading into the streets to ask some Nigerians how they show their health, TLC, that is tender love and care.
If I'm ill, you understand, if I'm stressed up, I'm maybe having headaches, stressed up, I'll go to the hospital to check my BP to ensure that I am okay. If I'm okay, and I'll talk to the doctor that, okay, if I'm okay and I don't have, maybe after carrying out all series of tests and I know I'm okay, and I'll just beg him, let me just have small rest.
The primary purpose of giving yourself a tender love and care is by maintaining personal hygiene.
It's a call to me as well to give my health utmost attention, not to overwork myself, because sometimes I get overwhelmed and I forget to rest, and then the repercussions is to break down, is to start having symptoms of malaria. I mean, you called it to your body, so rest when I'm supposed to rest, eat when I'm supposed to eat. All of these things aid give me actually a better health.
We are expected to go for check-up time to time to check the state of your health. And if there's any form of negative result that comes out, you expect to tackle it on time. You don't need to leave it to escalate to another level.
Health is wealth. It's only the healthy that can walk. So I give attention to my health. I eat the right diet. I sleep well. I play. And I relax my mind.
You take your body by day. You also keep your mind clean. That is by doing things that you love.
Anybody that has no sound health cannot carry out work. So just as we go about taking care of businesses, our health also should be given proper attention. Because health, anything that affects the health, affects the whole system.
Now, after listening to the opinions of some Nigerians on how they show their body or their health system, TLC, it's back to Elizabeth in the studio for the continuation of the conversation.
Africa brought the savannah to the Sahara. We rise, a land of the free, we know they tire. We dream great, our spirit is undying.
Resilient, rooted like palm tree. We sway in colors, we turn dark into light. We make solutions, we ignite passion, yeah. Ethnicity is unique, we have more than just a nation.
We are Nigeria, we are Nigeria, strengthening unity. We know they carry lives. We are Nigeria, we are Nigeria. Together live the dream of a land with great destiny. We are Nigeria.
I am the real Nigerian. Brought to you by the National Orientation Agency, NOA.
Nigeria is a country of many cultures, languages, and beliefs. But despite our differences, there is one thing that unites us all: our love for this great nation. Sometimes we may feel that we need to go fast and go alone, but when we come together and work as a team, we can go far beyond what we ever thought was possible. United, we can create thriving businesses that benefit our communities and in turn our nation. It is said that if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Let's understand our differences and come together to build a better Nigeria. When we work together, there is nothing we can't achieve. Nigeria, better together.
Thank you very much, Ehi. That's Nigerians' ways of showing TLC. A whole lot, was said. Then I'm sure Doctor was listening because I could see Rap's attention to what people were saying. Doctor, a lot of Nigerians have described several things to, show their lives, good treatment, which is the TLC, especially when it comes to the area of hearts. And I'm wondering if we're right or not. But I'll start again with the question someone asked yesterday when our promo was rolling. She wanted to know if heartbreak from relationship can cause heart attack.
Yes.
Is it related? Is it the same heart?
Well, let's get a few terms correct.
Okay.
Heartbreak is a nomenclature we use for social interactions.
Okay.
There is no doubt that when somebody is heartbroken from whatever cause, that's a situation of stress. And stress can trigger a lot of things in somebody who is vulnerable already.
Okay.
What I mean by vulnerable is somebody who has a set of risk factors that can escalate to cause or precipitate a cardiac event. So when you are under any type of stress, whether it be from heartbreak or anything else, isolation, deprivation, discrimination, those are situations that can trigger stress, and stress can be maladaptive. In other words, some individuals are better in handling stress, others aren't, But those who don't have that ability to make adjustments, their stress can precipitate a heart attack.
Oh, really?
Yes,
it can?
Yes, it can. Yes, it can.
All right. That's good to know. But then, speaking about heart attack, I'm wondering, these statistics I picked up from the internet, is it real? Because when I read it, I was really alarmed. 33 seconds, one death from heart attack. It's not from other things, or from heart attack or cardiovascular diseases. Is it real, or is it overassumed?
No, let me start by giving you some humbling statistics. In the entire world, the number one cause of death is cardiovascular disease. And in that mix, higher up in the ladder is when a plaque which is accumulation of cholesterol particles, ruptures. You can have that in your blood vessel, and it can be there, can be latent throughout your lifespan. Nothing will happen. But when that plaque ruptures, then attracts further blood elements, which can then narrow the blood vessel. And when that narrows sufficiently to reduce blood flow, by definition, that's heart attack. That means that a segment of your heart muscle has suffered injury, death. And when a heart muscle dies, it triggers a set of problems. In fact, 50% of the time, heart attack can present as sudden death. You've never had any complaint before. Either you're preaching in the church, or you went to a friend's house, or you're driving down the road, you can have a heart attack and you may not survive it. 50% of the time, that is the first presentation. Some other times, an individual may have symptoms, warning symptoms, discomfort in their chest, heaviness or tightness or pressure or dull ache or shortness of breath, particularly in the aged individuals. As people age, their sense of perception of pain is altered. So they may not have chest pain. They may just, when I do something, I get out of breath. That's a warning sign. So we have cumulative risk factors such as high blood pressure, diabetes, people who smoke, people who have family history of somebody having died suddenly or having had a stroke or heart attack. Those are modifiable factors. But then there are things you can't control, particularly something that has to go through your genes. So if somebody dies suddenly in a family, everyone else is also vulnerable because it's the same gene. So you may not have diabetes, you may not have high blood pressure, you may not smoke, you may not even have high cholesterol, and you can still have sudden death, particularly if there's such a family history.
Oh.
You understand? The absence of risk factors does not mean that you are immune. No, you're not.
And here I was thinking that the internet was scary. You're actually more scarier in your interpretation of it. But I'm just wondering, I don't know, what's your take on this thing? Because I keep reading, sometimes you see people and you ask, where is this person? I haven't seen him for a while. And you hear that sudden death thing. It's alarming. How do you swallow it?
Well, reality, you just, like you said, the topic TLC, you give yourself total love and care. But the thing here is that I asked a question once, and is it the things we're eating now that is causing most of the things that are happening? Because I know that our parents during their time, if you even look at the times now, people who are dying at 32, they're 30, they're 40, and our parents who are 80, 90 are all living. You asked the doc a question about heartbreak. Well, he's a doctor, but I'm going to talk about it as a personal, who is not a doctor. I have friends who are going through hell because of heartbreak. And I've always told people that bad energy, there are some places, environments you're in, you're not meant to be there. Because they drain you. They drain you with talks, they're so negative and all that. And Devon was, when we're talking with Devon, and she mentioned crime and investigation. That is one channel I don't go to, because anything I see, that is how I'm going to sleep. That's how my mind works. So one thing I have tried to do is try to make myself happy in spite of my environment. It has helped me, it has worked. And like Doc said about genes, I'm very particular about it, because there was a story yesterday, a family friend, and something happened, and her kids have it, her husband had it, And she's asking the question, why? So that's why I always tell people that if you know that your genes have certain things, it's advisable to go and check. Because everybody say, I don't have headache, I don't have high blood pressure. But so many people that I've known that have died not knowing that they had high blood pressure.
True. Because there was a time we had conference, and a lot of people came from far and wide. But incidentally, we also had medical outreach as we did it. Incidentally, for those who checked the first day, minimum of 50, we had about 8 persons with high blood pressure.
Yeah.
And a lot of them said they didn't know. It was only one person who knew. By the second day, out of what happened, everybody came to check. And we had even more. Some were so bad that they were asked not to travel, by the doctor. So the need for us to constantly check still springs up. Devon, we're going to add something? Or do I let the doctor talk about this check thing?
Well, the other day I was having a conversation with somebody I'm close to, and this whole issue of sudden death, because a friend of his had suffered a brain aneurysm or something and just died. No. The friend had some issues, went to hospital and discovered that he had cancer in the brain, and it was so advanced that it was already terminal by the time he found out.
Wow.
And this person was unhappy. Why not? Nigerians are constantly being encouraged to go for regular health checks and things like this. I say, well, you see, your state of mind matters a lot.
Yeah, true.
Now, there's poverty, and it has worsened significantly. Okay, not tying it to any administration, but the fact is, the economic situation for most people has worsened significantly. Okay, I managed to scrape together some little money, get myself to a general hospital somewhere, and maybe even hear that I'm HIV positive. With HIV, for instance, do you know when it first came out, there were as many fatalities recorded from suicides as from the HIV eventually becoming AIDS and people dying as a result of that. So you go now, you do that checkup, and then you find one health condition that you don't have the money to treat.
Yeah.
What next? Your mind will take you down faster than the ailment itself, which is why I feel many Nigerians do not have this culture of going to look for things that they don't want to find.
I agree.
It's not because Nigerians are naturally careless or they don't care about their health. They do not have the resources. And sometimes you have the resources and you don't have the right hospitals to go to. You now have to fly out of the country to go and access and you have enough to take you to a hospital here, but you don't have enough to take you to a hospital in the UK or in Egypt or wherever. But now you have this thing to worry about that you don't have a solution for.
Yeah.
So, if you know you have the financial resources, by all means, do regular checkups. It is important to mind what you eat. I would say especially if you're a lady, if you can afford to stop alcohol completely, cut alcohol out of your relaxation time completely. I've come to understand over the years that men's bodies handle alcohol significantly better than women's bodies do. And even for the man, I would say that take it sparingly, if at all. If you must, take it sparingly. Don't smoke at all. What's the point? For most Nigerians, when they hear eat healthy, they think eat loads of meat. Not necessarily. If you can add more vegetables to your meals, it will help. If you can take more water, I think it will help. The places that you can take a stroll to, take a stroll rather than taking Okada. That helps to keep the heart system. Nigerians, once we break a sweat, we associate that with suffering. So if you have to take a 10-minute walk to get to a store, compared to somebody who would quickly drive there, you feel that you who walked to the store would be seen as somebody who is suffering, when in actual fact, it's helping your heart. So for those who cannot afford regular checkups, do everything you can to prevent. Even if you can, still do prevention and then care.
All right, doctor, what can you say about what she just said? Especially the diet part.
She has raised some points which are valid. But let me state this. What has happened over the years is that most Nigerians have come to believe that to be a big man or a woman, you have to outsource your food to the eating houses. Most people, sometimes when I go to a place to eat, you find someone eating a load of fries, oil everywhere. You look into the soup, so much beef. They go to the store, they buy all this McDonald's things for their kids, bottle of Coke. The kids are looking obese, no place to exercise. Some of us grew up in the villages where it was mandatory that you have to exercise. We played soccer, we ran track, we went to the stream a long distance to fetch water. So those things helped. These days, there are probably no place in any city where people can actually relax. There are certain things that are mandatory that you must do if you want to reduce the likelihood that you may have a cardiovascular event. And they include, number one, adequate rest. You must get enough sleep, 6-7 hours a night if possible. What you eat, maintain ideal body weight, exercise, like you mentioned earlier, regular health checks. But that can be confusing sometimes, what you define as regular health check. There's also a misunderstanding about certain things that will bandy around. Number one, high blood pressure is a silent disease. You may not even know that you have high blood pressure. And the first presentation might be a stroke. Sometimes it's discovered during a routine check for something else. The definition of high blood pressure varies from one individual to the other, and depending on the health conditions you have. That's that. Also, things like diabetes, which is very common. Almost every family has someone that has diabetes in this country. That invariably translates to increased burden of cardiovascular disease, because number one thing, everybody that has diabetes, you have to assume they have heart disease until proven otherwise. Do not smoke, whatever format, sniffing, inhaling, whatever you call it. That's probably one of the worst health risks that you can have. It exposes you to risk of stroke, heart attack, cancer, and so forth. And then, like I mentioned earlier, we tend to associate certain type of food with our status in the society, and that's quite dangerous. People just go to a store and see what people eat or what people buy. Look in the fridge, the frozen chickens, the butter, and all this crap. And people associate that. There's something you mentioned also about...
Did you say frozen chicken? Is it bad?
Yeah, it's fat. Get a chicken from the local store and kill it.
Yeah.
Open it up. Open the one that is got from the store. See the difference. This one is a load of fat now.
Apparently, the one from the local store don't be waka, so you get gym.
Thank you.
I would rather
you get gym
the
body.
local chicken,
Yes,
that's
local.
free ranger.
Yes.
It's better. It's lean. It's lean meat.
But it's expensive.
Well, it's better. That's the key. But also fish. And it's time to stay away from this homemade fish where people just get a bunch of, sometimes then throw fish in there with all kinds of chemicals.
Yes.
The fish you get from the river is better, particularly the oily fish. So you have your mackerel, your tuna. They're expensive, but those ones, the oily fishes are much healthier. Why? That oil in the fish is the omega-3 fatty acid, which that's what you should be eating. But even if you don't have money for that kind of expensive menu, like she mentioned earlier, vegetables. Vegetables, and vegetables. Fiber-based diet, your garden eggs, your ugu, your okazi, that kind of stuff. Even if there's no meat in it, Reduce, when you want to cook, you put a load of maggi and salt. Maggi is the same thing as salt, you know that?
You mean seasoning?
Maggi
kind of
is
seasoning?
monosodium glutamate.
Okay.
Sodium is sodium chloride.
Maggi is a
That's
brand
it.
name. You're talking about all the seasonings,
Yeah,
special
basically.
seasoning.
Cubes.
Yeah, cubes,
Okay.
but you don't know what's in that thing.
Okay.
So you don't need all that kind of branding to eat healthy. But also, try, like she said, try not to be somebody that gets angry so quickly. There are certain things you must punt away in your subconscious and just assign little or no role to it. Even when somebody makes you angry, you don't have to respond. Sometimes you can use that.
But what about people who get relief because they responded?
Does it really work?
Well.
I rather walk away.
We have different temperaments. People who
Well,
are choleric, they get it out, they feel relaxed.
True.
Then there's the person who will not say anything, bottle internalize it, carry it around for months.
That is true.
And then one day they cannot wake up.
I rather walk away.
Yeah, I think so. I agree with that. But that doesn't mean that you have a point too. In certain situations, you have to let somebody know that, yes, I know what you're doing, but I'm just ignoring it. You understand? You don't have to get confrontational. Even when somebody makes you angry, find a way to walk away. It doesn't mean you're weak. You actually make the person feel stupid because he doesn't know what is in your heart.
But there are some people who are just too sensitive.
Yeah, you don't have to be. You don't really have to be. Yeah, maybe as we advance in our conversation, we'll get into more specifics what needs to be done. Heart disease is highly prevalent. I'm not sure that the statistics of saying that these things have not been with us is true. What has happened is that because of communication gadgets, information gets out there that this person has died. Even when we were kids, your family, you say, oh, this man went to sleep, he never woke up. Mm-hmm. Why do you think he died?
That time we used to blame it on village people.
That is the point. That is the point. So these things have been with us, but because of communication skills, because there are so many avenues now where people get stories out there in the public. I'm not sure that is true, but remember the population has also increased. People are more mobile. A lot of people, every member of our society has somebody that lives abroad somewhere. If not US, Canada, UK, and so forth. So I'm not sure these things are true. The heart attack occurs. Sudden cardiac death is really. I see a lot of people, I won't mention them, so they just come into them, oh, my chest, boom, they drop. There are many reasons for that. You had last time when people were watching matches in Ivory Coast?
Yes.
And we lost about 2 or 3 Nigerians, correct?
I actually lost an uncle.
Okay, so those things are real. They're not magic. There are certain heart conditions that are made more manifest in a high-class environment. And there are certain electrical pathways in your heart that get activated during high-tension games, even during swimming. So it's also not true that exercise immunizes you. There are certain conditions that are precipitated by exercise, and you die suddenly.
Yeah. Such as?
I'll give you an example. You were aware of one of our talented Nigerian players called Sam Okoraji.
Yes. Was a footballer.
Okoraji was a footballer. Anytime you hear an athlete collapses in the field, it's due to what is called hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, which is a gene-related condition where the heart muscle is thickened more than it should. So during exercise, it blocks outflow of blood from the heart. You die suddenly. So exercise doesn't immunize you against it.
Yeah, that's another thing.
Some of them can actually be precipitated by exercise. Yes. So it's not true.
I guess that's why they always say...
Sorry, what happened? Kanuwako
had a different situation. Okay. It wasn't hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. Okay. Since he hasn't given me permission to discuss it, so I won't go into details. But it was a different kind of stuff.
While you were talking, something was occurring to my head, and somebody actually still wrote the same question. He said, "What's the place of fried food in our health?"
Bad.
Fried food?
Fried food, yes.
I think you should try to fry less, if any. It's not so much about the frying, it's about the oil you use to fry.
Okay, not the method.
Take, for example, this potatoes.
Okay.
That's what you make fries from, correct? Or what you have in front of you there.
Chips.
Yeah, chips.
Okay.
This is fried with oil. The best oils are plant-based oils, the soy oil, the olive oils. Palm oil, which is quite common in our environment, is good, if it is fresh. When it becomes solid, or any oil at all that becomes solid at room temperature, do not use it. That's the process of making margarine and other saponifications. You understand?
Okay. So what you mean is, once you finish frying, you keep it. It coagulates.
Do not get into the habit of reusing oil over and over, because once you fry oil, it gets.
Wait, I used the oil once. I threw it away, right?
Well,
I've seen the Western.
It depends on the oil.
We use oil until the oil comes.
No, it's not good. It depends on the oil. Olive oil, soy oil, plant-based oil.
Soy oil.
Soy. Yeah.
That's from soya bean.
That's correct.
Okay.
And there are some other sources of plant oils. They're good.
Cottonseed oil.
It's good.
What about
sunflower is good.
What
Sunflower
about
oil. Groundnut comes from belongs to a class we call polyunsaturated fatty acid. They're not bad. They're not bad. In the
Sort of red oil.
Red oil, like I said, which is palm oil, is good when it is fresh. If it solidifies at room temperature, do not use it.
Are you serious? Red oil.
What
you know what you do is you put in there the cooking of.
What I do is that I fry before I use palm oil. I fry it.
You bleach it.
I bleach it.
Why? I feel as if it burns out all the nutrients.
Well,
I know many people cook that way, but I've never understood why.
Palm oil is stearic acid, is saturated fat. Be careful. It's like I said, if it's fresh, it's good. If it solidifies, do not use it. Do not get into habit of reusing oil over and over, because once oil is fried, it breaks down into different elements. That's the key. It breaks into certain elements. So what you are doing is why do you actually fry things anyway? Why don't you bake something? Why don't you eat something?
Grill it.
Why do you grill it?
The light.
So it's just a habit.
Because sometimes we look at milk, and some people tell us that milk is bad. Yeah. It's not very good for adults. But again, milk is natural. So where are we getting it wrong?
I'm not sure I should create presentation, because there are people who are intolerant to milk. I'm lactate intolerant, so I don't use milk. So unless I put it in cocoa oats, and what happens then that the oatmeal absorbs some of this stannic acid on it. All right, but an adult needs milk. It helps you with your bones and all that. A growing child needs milk. It's not entirely correct that milk is wrong, it's bad. We don't encourage people to use things that are too saturated. So you go to buy milk in the store, it's 3%. So why you don't need that? 3%.
So to take creamer and to take full cream, which is more ideal? Because I see people go for creamer for their coffee. I'm one of them anyway. Then some people will tell me that I'm missing out on the benefits of milk. And I'm scared because apart from the lactose intolerance, I also think that milk might build up my lipid.
That's inaccurate. That's not correct.
Okay.
That's not correct.
So it's actually healthy to go for the milk.
Yeah, I mean, again, it depends on your age group. It depends on a lot of other factors. Milk is okay, but if you're intolerant to milk, why do you use it? Why do you have to drink coffee with milk or sugar anyway? You can drink a coffee like that.
No,
but you see,
I should drink black coffee.
I'm listening to the doctor. I'm listening to the doctor, and I won't lie to you. I don't think it's going to work. Because the thing here is that everything I was taught is in moderation. Everything you do is in moderation.
That is correct.
Yeah. So because life is not easy, we're not going to pretend. Like Devon was talking about, because of money, most of the time people don't go to the hospital and all that. So when it comes to food, one thing I have tried to do now is veg. Veg. The thing I've not been able to stay away from, it's, what do you call that? Drinks. not alcohol.
Dates?
Sorry?
Soda.
What do you say?
Yeah, soda. That's the only
Mineral.
thing. Okay.
Let's use language.
So it's mineral. And at least I've stopped Coke totally. Because Coke for me was a bit addictive, you know, and all that because of the caffeine. So one thing they always tell you, a step at a time. What I've done more now is more of veg. I'm not a salt person, but there was something I learned today about Knorr cubes. I don't put too much, but I'm trying, and that's why I use more of locust beans. You know, because we've just realized that if you do this, they will say it will do this. If you do this, they say it does this. They said don't use granite oil. Okay, go to palm oil. Now, like you said, I'm hearing other stories that it's not if it's, what did you call
Solidified.
it? Solidified. But guess what? I think most people's red oil, that's what happens.
I think it coagulates. There's a difference between coagulation and literally turning into margarine.
So if I shake it like this and it still moves, it still moves. Is it still okay?
Are we talking of coagulation or just solidification complete?
I don't know what you're calling coagulation.
What I mean is it's not as liquid as water. It has thickened.
How is
but
it thick?
It is not like straight up margarine.
Let me just give. I'm just giving you facts.
Yeah.
And advise you. It's not. But let's get something clear here.
Yeah.
There are people who have consumed fat all their life and live 100 years plus.
Yeah, that's true.
You understand?
Yes.
People have different genes,
Yeah,
and the way
the
things are
genes.
processed in your body is totally different. I have patients who are 100 years old, they smoke. I won't ask them to stop smoking if that have lived that long. But we're talking about a level of risk here, what we call cumulative risk. If, for example, your mother died quite young, or your brother died quite young, and maybe your sister had breast cancer, for example. Why do you smoke? You know that will elevate your risk. So there are certain. You mentioned the issue of alcohol. I'm not sure that a glass of wine every day, if you're a woman or a man, 2 glasses of wine will do anything to you. But then within that mix, you have to look at your own risk and change things. We're talking about generally where things like this shouldn't be done, or if at all they have to be done in moderation. That's what we are saying. But clearly, sometimes you read some falsehood in the social media. Somebody says, "Oh, cholesterol has been removed from USD." That is false. Remember that social media is a super highway for false information. People just see the concoct things which is not true. Cholesterol, in whatever format, in saturated fat, is the nidus, is the bedrock for plaque formation in the blood vessel. When that plaque ruptures, you can have an event. And that event can be sudden death. Or you have a heart attack and you're lucky to get to some people like us who can do something to open up your artery again.
Talking about social media being a superhighway for
false information,
misinformation and such, I did stumble upon a video where somebody said that one of the leading causes of is it kidney failure? Yeah, that is actually high blood pressure and not a result of consuming alcohol like many people believe. Is there any link?
Yeah, well, I think it's wrong. There's no link between. Alcohol has so many bad effects, but the number one cause of kidney disease worldwide is diabetes and high blood pressure.
True.
I didn't know that until I saw that video. I always thought it was alcohol.
Most people that you see that have diabetes at some point in their life, if that diabetes is not properly managed, it's going to affect their kidney. And diabetes and high blood pressure are twin diseases. Invariably, most people that have diabetes also have high blood pressure. If anybody has had kidney failure, they are on dialysis, or they have had transplant, go and check. They have one or both of those conditions. Yeah. Also, we that deal with the heart, 25% of what comes out of your heart goes, under normal conditions, goes to supply your kidneys. Because the heart has to give every organ blood. So if your heart is weak, your kidney gets less. blood, and it can fail.
Overworking it.
Number two, there are also certain external things, medications. Particularly these medications that are common that people take, diclofenac, cataflam, ibuprofen, Motrin, they can kill your kidney.
Yeah.
So there are things.
If you overdo it, right? Or
Well,
really?
I don't know what you call overdoing, but remember that different levels of vulnerability.
Yes.
If your kidney is bad, or your heart is bad, or you've had a stroke, stay away from those medications. Those medications can make things worse. They can even make you bleed. It's another, like if you go to a hospital in this country, you have typhoid or malaria. Everybody.
Yes.
So something should alert you that this cannot be true.
Yes.
And I've had patients of mine whose kidneys have been destroyed because some individual says they have typhoid, then puts them on a concoction of medications that ends up killing their kidneys. So this typhoid thing, the way people are making diagnosis of typhoid is inaccurate. We do not use wild tests to make a diagnosis. You can use it to follow titers, but for you to make a diagnosis of typhoid, you have to know the life cycle. In the first week, you must culture that organism in the blood. Second week, in the stool. Third week, in the urine. So you just can't walk into somebody's office and they take care, say you have typhoid. You go back 3 weeks ago, they say you have typhoid. How can
It hasn't.
Actually,
it's coming out of hospitals.
Yes.
No, it's not usually most
But
times
most
it's a lab.
Nigerians,
It's
it's not even hospitals.
It's
Most
laboratories.
Nigerians tend to go to
There are
pharmacies.
laboratories in hospitals.
No,
now.
but
No,
what I'm
some
saying,
women are just on their own.
no, but what I'm saying is that we're talking about hospitals. But guess what? I know so many people who go to the pharmacy.
and the pharmacist starts telling them something.
And that's it.
And these guys who are reporting these tests,
Yeah.
they're not even doing so. It's 419. They're not even doing anything. They just write this thing. And then in the same instance, they start recommending medication.
That's
You're not a hair care provider.
Yes.
You're a lab man. You have no prescriptive
And some people like to
credentials.
follow other people's medication.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
one thing so many Nigerians
That's
tend
true.
to do.
You
What,
see,
that thing was worrying. What did you drink? And what did you
That's
drink?
it. So what is it?
what doctor is saying is something I heard many years ago when I had cause to treat the malaria-typhoid combination
So many times.
like across a span of like 2 years, over a span of 2-3 years, I treated malaria typhoid getting to like 15 times. And
So you can
a
imagine-
doctor at National Hospital was
Said,
like, no,
no.
if you get typhoid 3 times in 1 year,
Something is
trust
wrong.
me, you will
Yes.
die. It's not a small illness. It's, you
it's
know,
not
So they
that
were
is
just pumping you with trash.
that
Yes.
this thing that they just lump whatever bacterial thing they think is wrong with you and call it typhoid. And from in my own case, it was conventional hospitals that were constantly telling me I had the malaria typhoid combination, and that was what I was treating almost every 2 months. Malaria, yes, I succumbed to malaria very quickly. You can tell the symptoms and everything. But why the constant diagnosis of typhoid? In many instances, you are not even buying the medicine in the hospital. You are buying it outside. So there's no gain for them. So why that constant diagnosis?
Even the malaria you're talking about.
Yes.
Let me tell you something. We live in an endemic area where you are constantly exposed to the Anopheles mosquito, correct?
Mosquitoes. Yeah.
So you should have some level of immunity, except you have certain conditions. So you cannot have malaria every day. You went
No,
to
but
the
they
hospital.
always tell me
No,
my blood group.
No, hold on now. The thing is that, and then they report the reportage 1 plus, 2 plus. What is that? What is 1 plus? 1 plus of what? Yeah, is it in the field you're looking at, or what is it? You understand? There are more sophisticated ways to exclude that process. Those of us that hop in and out of the country are people that should be having malaria all the time.
All right, doctor, without meaning to cut you in, even though some people are sending messages, but let me ask my own first. Olusegun Olalade from Kubwa. Just wait, let me ask my own first.
Yeah.
I want to know, from what you said, when should I start checking? Because a lot of people say you start doing annual tests when you are above 40, when you are above 50. Especially if I've had recorded cases in my family.
Good.
When should I start looking out for annual checks? and what should I check for when I talk? What should I tell the doctor when I go there?
Okay, let me break it down in categories. Generally, something like cholesterol, we recommend that people start screening their cholesterol in their 20s.
20s?
In their 20s.
Whether or not you have genetic factor?
In their 20s.
Okay.
It could be a little earlier if you have genetic factors. But also remember that there are certain conditions that are not necessarily cardiovascular that are associated with elevated cholesterol levels. Familial hypercholesteremia, meaning that it runs in your genes. Cholesterol comes from two sources. There's one that your body makes, that's driven by your gene through HMG CoA reductase. Then there is ones that come from what you eat. It is those two pools that make up what their own cholesterol level is. But there are other conditions. Hypothyroidism, kidney disease. These things can also lead to secondary elevated cholesterol. Certain medications, like the estrogens that we use sometimes. Now, if you have a family condition, say your sister or your niece or somebody had breast cancer, you don't have to wait until you're 50 before you start doing mammogram. You understand? For example, somebody has prostate cancer in your family, or has had, you mentioned earlier, brain cancer, or any cancer. You should start much earlier. It is recommended that if somebody in your family has had a stroke related to high blood pressure, remember that you don't have to have high blood pressure to have stroke. There are other things that can cause stroke. So if you have a set of conditions, you should start much earlier to check yourself out. But don't do it in a panic mode. I see patients, you advise them, why are you here? Oh, my cholesterol, they said it's high. You say, okay, bring it. You bring it. It's the lab that has put an arrow there that the thing is high, but it doesn't know that that particular patient, for that thing he's reporting, is meaningless. You understand? So you have to balance preventive care and something that's more specific to your own issue, your particular need. I had a patient that came from Enugu to see me last year, a doctor. He had a blockage in the artery. He was having chest. When I did angiogram, found that he had a blockage. I put a stent there. His younger brother, his immediate younger brother, came back this year with the same complaint, and I did angiogram. The guy had blockage in the same location.
Wow.
So that tells you something about genes. I had another guy that was sent from the same Enugu. No complaint, no complaint. But why did he come? Because a doctor in Benin had asked him to go and see, because the guy was nervous. Why? The sister died at 52, the brother died at 45, the only remaining brother just died. So the guy was panicked. So the guy came. He said, why are you here? He told me, Dr. So said I should see you. So after I interviewed, I was alarmed by that family history. That family history alone is sufficient to evaluate that guy more extensively. So even though he doesn't have symptoms, that symptom is irrelevant for that particular individual. So I said, okay, what do you want me to do? He said, doctor, I want to see what my arteries look like. I took that guy to the cath lab. The first picture I took, he had 90% blockage, everywhere, all the arteries in the heart. So that tells you the power of genes. That guy went from...
They would have said that there's somebody
exactly,
village, that they have a short lifestyle in their village.
He went from the cath lab to the operating table. We did bypass surgery on him. That's why he's still alive now.
What?
So these things, the genes you cannot modify. They are powerful. Anything that goes through the family, every other member of that family is also vulnerable.
Okay,
so
we have a lot of people writing in, doctor. We'll just try to take as much as we can. This person says, I love sugarcane, and that's Olusegun Ololade from Kubwa. He says, if I take it, will it affect the diabetes? I mean, sugarcane is a plant-based sugar. Is it healthy?
Sugarcane.
Sugarcane?
No, it's not.
Okay.
It doesn't mean that someone cannot take sugarcane, but you have to look at it. Sugar generally is not good stuff. And there's also times people confuse sugar and honey. There is no difference between honey and sugar. One is just that honey occurs naturally, and the sugar will make by nature. So they're the same thing. So if you have diabetes, why are you chewing sugar cane?
I agree.
You are loading yourself with sugar now.
Okay.
Or honey or dates.
Dates too.
It is sugar. Why did people travel around the desert? They use that thing to provide energy for their troops, correct? It's sugar.
I like it.
No wonder the prophet said they should just take 3. You know.
3 what?
So
when you do dates, don't start it. Because when you do dates, don't start it. The fun about dates is you keep going on and on and on.
Popping it.
So it's better to stay away from it.
Another person is asking that if you have high blood sugar, does it really get cured?
That's a good question. Yes and no. There are certain conditions that can elevate your blood sugar. Not necessarily that you have diabetes. Okay. So if those things are addressed, your sugar can be what you call, quote, cured. However, diabetes, which is, you have 2 types of diabetes. One is early onset diabetes, which is insulin requiring diabetes, a condition whereby the islet cells of the pancreas are unable to provide sufficient insulin to meet the demand of the body. The other one is adult onset, which is much more common and it's hereditary.
Okay.
You understand? And it's not that the body doesn't have insulin. As a matter of fact, the body has more insulin than it needs. What is happening is that there is resistance to the action of insulin. Insulin is not able to drive sugar into the cells.
All right. Thank you, doctor, so much. I wish we had more time to talk on this, but I'm also tempted to do a play fast one on you to say, can you give us a part 2?
Anytime.
Okay, thank you very much.
This is not my first visit. I'll be coming here.
Okay, so you will definitely come again
Anytime.
to continue on this, because there's a whole lot of questions from our, online people to talk about.
Anytime.
So thank you so much. Any addition, subtraction for you?
No.
Okay. Parting words?
Just be happy.
Okay.
Be happy, don't worry.
Don't worry, be happy. And I just want to add that we should try to sleep more. Sleep more.
I said it earlier.
Sleep more. The doctor is saying sleep more.
Very important.
And when you sleep, you find out you're giving yourself the sweetest of the best of the TLC, like we say. We'll join you again next week, and we have another exciting moment. The show is still Conversation, and I remain Elizabeth. Ciao, ciao.